Welcome, everybody, to Drive Through Sports. Today is Wednesday, April the 15th, 2020. This is Adam Freeman along with Paul Brees. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. Paul is in Brentwood, Tennessee tonight. What's going on, Paul? You're pretty busy there at the house.
Well, a lot of moving and shaking, but just got to give a shout out to my stimulus check came through today. And, you know, there's only a couple of times of the year that having a lot of kids is good, and stimulus check came through for me.
Dude, I bet you're probably planning a trip to Biloxi about right now.
I could probably take it to the next level with the
Vegas,
stimulus
baby.
check. Yeah, for sure. So
yes,
good time.
ours showed up in our checking account as well. We got hosed a little bit because we got a
That's right.
college attendee.
Yeah.
So that's about minus 500 right there for us.
Yeah.
500 we missed out on, but that's all right.
The problem they should tell you is, you know, the college kids are now living with you during the stimulus. So
yeah, very true, very true. Unless you're Jordan. Well, Jordan's not in college anymore. He's living in the driveway, RVs, baby.
Yeah. He's
yes.
He got his first positive case in his hospital today.
Oh, whoa.
So yeah, he's moved out to the RV, and you know, we'll see him in about a month and a half. We'll wave to you through the window.
And he just had a birthday, so
yeah, he's good.
That was maybe the last time you'll see him for a couple of weeks at least. Yeah. But man, he's got to be on the front line, so we appreciate him doing that. And all our healthcare workers, nurses, doctors, EMTs, respiratory therapists, they are, you know, pulling 12-hour shifts and double shifts and everything else. So we can be at home and be safe. So just hope everybody that's listening does just that and follows the directives by their state, which right now in Georgia is shelter in place. I did get to go to Publix today, and I felt a little bit like someone from District 11 in Hunger Games getting chosen to go outside the perimeter and risk my life to go get some groceries. But
let me ask you this, Adam. Obviously, up here it's maybe a little different. When you went to Publix, any kind of, you know, what's the percentage of mask wearers?
Very high. I would say 90%.
It's pretty legit.
Myself included, and they also have the shields at the, you know.
At the checkout now.
Yeah, they got the shields at the checkout. So
I call that the old gas station shield.
Yes, yeah, the old Nolensville Pike gas station shield.
That's right.
Murfreesboro Road gas station. Yeah, you definitely want to have a bulletproof window if you're going to open a place on Murfreesboro Road or Nolensville Road these days. But yeah, they started to get that going, and you see that more and more. Kroger has it, Walmart has it, and Publix, I just saw for the first time, has it. So anyway, well, that's kind of what's going on locally for me and locally for you, like nationally sports-wise. Since this is Drive Through Sports, we're going to hit on a little bit of sports, and we're going to have a couple topics that I think will
entertain.
Definitely entertain you guys, because we got some good stuff here. The first thing I want to hit on, because you're in Nashville and I'm here in Atlanta, which is NFC South territory. So I'm not really a Falcon fan, but the Falcons do play the Carolina Panthers twice every year. So we're going to be matching up with now the highest paid running back in the NFL, Christian McCaffrey, 4 years, $64 million. And when you look at the numbers between McCaffrey and Henry, the salaries, Henry is not making nearly as much because they franchised him for the year. He's making like 10.2 or 10.3 million. But when you look at the workload, McCaffrey actually had like over 100 more touches than Henry did, mainly because they put him in the slot. They run speed sweeps with him. They hand the ball off to him. They throw it to him out of the backfield. So he's basically their entire offense, whereas Derrick Henry doesn't really catch the ball too much out of the backfield, just carries the ball and does it very well. If you had to choose who you would start your franchise with, would you choose Derrick Henry or would you choose Christian McCaffrey?
I think, well, obviously he's a Titan fan. You know, you kind of partisan toward Derrick Henry. You know, his size creates a little more, you would think, a longevity in the running back position. And, you know, the guy, like you said, McCaffrey, definitely has a little more touches just due to the fact that, you know, he's got pretty good hands. And so, you know, in the playoff time, though, I mean, it was Henry left, Henry right. We got to find a way
Yeah.
because, you know, so I personally think, you know, knock on wood, Derrick Henry has yet to have an injury that, you know, just been, you know, the precautionary measures during the week where they sit him out of practice,
Oh
obviously.
yeah.
But,
Yeah.
you know, I think I would stick with Henry until, you know, things went south. I think McCaffrey, you know, smaller guy, uh, you know, multiple touches. But, yeah, I would take Henry to start out your
Okay.
franchise
Okay.
with for sure.
I can see your argument for sure, and definitely the Titans rode him all the way to the AFC title game where they had a 10-point lead, and it kind of all fell apart.
Right.
And it started the Patrick Mahomes show, but
Yeah.
you know, and he is the NFL that, you know, and the face of the NFL moving forward. But you know, if Christian McCaffrey, you play fantasy football, don't you?
Sure.
Christian McCaffrey was the main reason that I've made the finals in my league the last 2 years. And it's because of his touches, it's because of his yards, because of his touchdowns, that sort of thing. Okay. But if I'm starting a franchise, I'm not looking to win a fantasy league. I'm looking to win football games. And I think I still go with Christian McCaffrey. And here's why. Because in today's NFL, it's not like the 70s and 80s where they're pounding each other's skulls Monday through Thursday, travel day Friday, you know, walk through Saturday, play Sunday. They are so dialed back, especially for a guy like McCaffrey. He probably doesn't practice on Tuesday or Wednesday that hard. That means because he's in 90% of their offensive snaps. He's not like one of these guys that like he's just a third down back or he's a first and second down back. He's out there the whole time because he can do so many things and there's so many different ways they can get in the ball. So I think because number one, he's smaller and he's harder to get a really solid hit on. He's kind of like a Barry Sanders in that way. You never saw Barry Sanders get just lit up. And it's because he was shifty, quick, agile, and smaller. McCaffrey's about 205 to 208 is what I hear. But he's probably the fittest 205 to 208-pound guy in the league. And takes, kind of just like his dad was the same way, Ed McCaffrey with Denver. He was the same way. Takes care of his body, trains in the offseason, eats and drinks and sleeps and everything, football and prepping for football. And I think he's in the best shape to be able to handle all those touches in that Carolina offense, which is going to be different now without Cam Newton. But to answer the question, I would take Christian McCaffrey just because he's so versatile, and the NFL, is a passing league, and you need to have somebody. If you've got one guy that can do everything, then I think you got to ride him too. Tennessee just has a different philosophy. And again, if you've got a guy like Derrick Henry, you're going to have a different philosophy because that's going to be what works for you. And I mean, he had a 3-game run in the playoffs like nobody's ever had. So you can't go wrong with that either. But I think either way you go, either one of those two guys, it's all dependent on your philosophy and what you want your team to be about. But you can't go wrong with either one of those two dudes. And, the coaches know one way or another. Vrabel, he's a ground and pound guy from the Patriot school, run game, defense, that sort of thing. Yet to see what Matt Rule's going to be, but he's from Big 12, so he's going to probably want to throw it around all over the place. But speaking of coaches, that gets us to our next point. which we talked about in pre-show. And all these coaches, man, they have alternate revenue sources, right? They have coaching shows, cable shows, radio shows, all this from college on through the pros. And a lot of these guys go and they talk at these clinics, right? So me and you got to talking about our coaching clinic experiences. So you wanted to share one. I thought, well, I've got one I can share too. So coaching clinic experience, give it to me.
Well, I'll preface this by saying that I'm going to give you two of my favorite guys that I heard speak at a coaching conference. And one was Charlie Spoonhour, the former St. Louis Billiken coach. Well, he was the St. Louis Billiken coach at the time. He ended up finishing his career at UNLV. Then the second guy, Charlie Spoonhour, absolutely hilarious. The second guy that I learned the most from, Tubby Smith. Tubby Smith, very, very solid guy. Now, my least favorite coach that provided me nothing except a lot of four-letter words and just nothing brought to the table. Coach Mike Krzyzewski.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, the guy I was just, resume building, talked a lot about the USA, dropping F-bombs. And you know what? I was young and I wanted to learn stuff. And I didn't learn anything from Coach K.
Wow.
Obviously, his resume speaks for himself. Now, if I went back being, 25 years plus in coaching, I would listen to his stories all day. So, but at the time, it just did not pique my interest. And granted, yes, I when I saw him, I was like, oh man, this is great. But then it went south when he started talking. So,
wow,
not a great moment in the coaching conference, but yeah, Spoonhour, and I'll never forget that guy. And Tubby Smith, he was spot on, and I still use a lot of his stuff today.
Yeah, was that when he was at Georgia or Kentucky?
In Kentucky.
Kentucky, yeah.
Yeah.
He was. I thought he is a good coach, and I actually had the opportunity. I got to meet him about 4 years ago. Did he coach? Where was he at 4 years ago?
Memphis,
that's right. When he was at Memphis, we have this facility about 8 miles from my house called Lake Point. And they do the Adidas tournament. They do the Nike AAU, the Under Armour. So I would go up there and I would be working these tournaments for a local physical therapy clinic, a man in the training room for them. And so we got there, and it's like the top – so you got like the top 50 guys playing in this tournament from Wednesday till Sunday. Roy Williams, Tubby, your boy Rick Byrd, Alan Edwards from Kentucky, Scott Padgett. I got to meet him. Tom Crean, who's a goof. He really is. The goofiest one though is Passner down at Tech. He's just goofy. He's about 5'7", and he was wearing these weird, like, I don't know what the name of the shoes were. Not Skechers. He's wearing these Skechers tennis shoes.
Nice.
Basketball coach. Come on, man. But I actually got to talk with Rick Byrd. He was a nice guy. Told him I went to Lipscomb.
He didn't hold that against you.
Yeah, he didn't hold it against me, which was nice of him. But I got to talk to a really interesting guy that I met and was super nice. Was Johnny Dawkins. And
right.
Duke fans remember Johnny Dawkins. This
sure.
guy, when he was at Stanford, was
right.
met him, and I recognized him, and I just started talking to him, and he was the nicest guy you would ever meet. you know, it was awesome getting to see and meet some of the Roy Williams. I didn't meet Roy Williams, but I just saw him because they were watching like the championship game. So it was like Roy Williams and all those guys. Uh, Bill Self, they were all in the building. Cal Parry was there. I didn't get to meet Cal.
So who's who?
It was the who's who of college basketball, no lie. Boeheim was there.
Oh, Jimmy B.
Yeah, Jimmy B was there. Rick Barnes was there. I mean, you name a name, and they were there. I got to meet Walter McCarty.
Nice.
So he's had a little problem up in Evansville. So ever since they beat Kentucky, everything's been downhill. And Walter McCarty, which oh well. But anyway, but that's not even my coaching clinic story.
All right.
Like your coaching clinic story, it was all the guys you and
I mean, it was
met, but that you heard.
Yeah, I was called favorite, most entertaining, and then
most disappointing.
Disappointing, yeah.
Yeah. My coaching clinic experience is a little bit different. Our head football coach, who passed away 2 years ago, Bruce Cobley, he used to organize these clinics. They're called the Glazier Clinics, and they're nationwide. So he knows all these college football coaches, and so he branched out and started doing baseball clinics. All right. So we're at the Radisson, Atlanta, downtown. Or let me preface this by saying I'm walking down the hall at school, and Bruce is like, he's like, hey, he was going a million miles an hour. He said, hey, you want to make $50? I said, sure. I was like, sure. He goes, okay. He goes, I need you to do a talk on like baseball, like rehab, like something like prehab or something, like prevent injuries or something. I was like, sure. When do I need to do it? He goes, it's Thursday at 4:30 at the Radisson downtown. I was like, man, I don't know if I can get there. I said, I'll try. Yeah, go ahead and put me in. I'll be there. So he's like, okay. I got you down the program. Okay. So I'm now a speaker at the Glazier Clinic for baseball in Atlanta. Like this is a big deal. Like there's like lecture hall, like everything. So we go down there, and I've got all this rehab, all these, Bosu balls and bands and, these balancing balls, like the big blow up balls, for stability balls and all that stuff. So I was like, got this whole thing. It's got to be an hour long or 50 minutes. So I've got this all planned out. What I'm going to do, I'm going to pull some people out of the audience, have them go and do some stuff. I got a PowerPoint, which was killer, man. It was awesome. So I'm supposed to go on at 4:30. All right. Now this is a baseball clinic. All right. So I walk up, and Bruce is like, you need anything? You need things, some water or whatever? I was like, no, I think we're good. So in Exhibit Hall A, it's got my name. It says Adam Freeman, head athletic trainer. Adam Freeman, EDS, ATC, head athletic trainer, Harrison High School. Prehab of baseball injuries. Right, literally across the is Dave Perno, the head coach. At that time, I think he was with Georgia. So Georgia baseball head coach, and he's going on at 4:30. And he's talking about like build your program the right way with Dave Perno, head coach, University of Georgia Bulldogs. Well, I see that, and I'm like, oh, well, okay, I know how. Okay, whatever. So I walk in, dude. There's probably 80 seats in my little side.
Right.
The PowerPoint's right in the center. There's not a soul in there except for me and the AV guy. And it's getting pretty close to 4:30. It's like 4:25. So I wander out in the hallway. Bruce is milling around out there. And I just peek into Dave's room. Dave Perno's, dude, that place is packed to the gills with coaches. And so Bruce sees me like coming out of Dave's room. He's like, hey, you about ready to go? I was like, Bruce, there's nobody in there. He's like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I was like, everybody's in Dave's talk. Nobody is in my lecture room. He's like, no, it couldn't be. I was like, check it out. So we go in there. Sure enough, Nobody's in there. The AV guy's just standing there next to the projector, about to hand me the clicker. And I'm like, Bruce, I was like, it's 4:35 now. I was like, nobody's coming to see me when Dave Perno is right across the breezeway there. I was like, it's not happening. So he's like, oh man, I'm sorry I got you down here, and sorry I wasn't thinking when I put you and him at the same time. I just wasn't thinking, it just didn't cross my mind. He goes, hey, got some good news though. I said, what? He goes, you still get paid. So I made $50 for driving down there, setting up, packing up, and leaving. I didn't talk to a soul. I didn't get to show anybody my PowerPoint. I didn't get to go through any exercises.
Oh, man.
So that was my coaching clinic experience, and that was my very last.
Well, let me ask you this question. Do you know a high school down in Georgia called Clark Central High School?
I do. We played our very first my very first football playoff game was at Clark Central.
Yeah. You know the head baseball coach is at Clark Central High School?
Who?
Dave Perno.
Is he really? Wow. Well, he can stay close to home, I guess. Didn't want
There you go.
I can see didn't want the headache, but still loves baseball,
Hey, you know what? No University of Georgia next to his tag right now. If he spoke against you, I think maybe be 50-50.
It might be 50-50. We might could get if I could hook something up, I might could pull some people in this time.
Yeah, well, they'd say, hey, wait a minute. You're the guy from Drive Through Sports? Yes,
hey,
that's me.
Weren't you on QB1? I think your voice sounds familiar. Oh my gosh. But yeah, that's I don't know if anybody would be looking for my autograph. Speaking of autographs, we were talking about this aspect of the show that we wanted to talk about somebody's autograph either you have or somebody's autograph that someone you would like to meet, someone's autograph you would like to get. What's the best autograph you have?
Well, there's a slight story with it, and
you got to tell this one.
This is a baseball strike moment where the strike settlement was a couple of weeks later, and so spring training started a little bit later in the baseball year, which allowed us our spring break to be tied in to the start. And me and my wife and another coaching friend, Jonathan Mooneyham, and his wife, we trekked it down to Clearwater. No, I'm sorry. It was Port Charlotte.
Okay.
Florida. And we decided, Jonathan and I decided that, hey, let's catch a spring training game. So we did our research minus the internet. All we had is the yellow pages, the telephone, and a sports page.
Yeah.
And we saw that the Baltimore Orioles and the Texas Rangers were the two local teams in that Port Charlotte area that were doing their spring training. Once we found that out, then it became a Cal Ripken Jr. Fest.
Oh, yeah.
Jonathan Mooneyham and myself called up multiple sports card shops in the Port Charlotte area to find their location, and we ended up driving to one of these sports card shops, tracking down a Cal Ripken baseball card. Didn't matter what year, just needed the cheapest card. We were working on a teacher's salary of like our first or second year teaching, and we would take it, whatever. We both gained access to a Cal Ripken card, went to the spring training game. Obviously, it was a 100-degree day. I totally remember getting sunburned. But obviously pregame happens. Jonathan and I go, there's Ripken. He's starting to walk down the first base, line. And then, people in the front start reaching out and trying to get his autograph as he's going by. Comes by me, throw the baseball card out, Sharpie in hand. Hey, Mr. Ripken, hey, can I get your autograph? Kept on walking, head down, head down. Jonathan, same thing, about 5-10 feet away. Ripken passes us. We turned around to both of our wives and gave the shrug of the shoulders. And then they both sauntered down, took the card, took the pin, got up there at the front, just bullying their way down there, held out their card. What did Cal Ripken Jr. do? No, he signed their card.
And
He
no
signed their
questions asked.
Yeah, we got their autograph.
So you just
As they were turning around, in fact, we were like, the green light in our minds happened, and we were like, give them all of the Baltimore Orioles cards that we had that we could get signed. There was one other guy that we were kind of aiming for, and Brady Anderson. Brady Anderson. What did he do?
He hit 50 home runs in a year.
He sure did. And he signed Miss Amy and Miss Ellen's baseball card for him. So Ripken, I have a Ripken Jr. signed card, and it's to the day probably worth nothing, but to me it's a pretty good story.
Oh, it's a great story.
And
it just goes to prove that, our wives have superpowers.
Absolutely superpowers.
Superpowers. Well,
but the question would be, whose autograph, or who obviously I'd like to get a Tiger Woods autograph.
Okay.
Being a, once thought of golfer, golf coach currently.
Yeah.
Tiger's obviously, I was watching Tiger win his first Masters in 97.
Yeah,
97. And I was in the hospital as my wife was giving birth to our oldest son, Jordan.
Wow.
And not a lot of focus on my wife during this process. So Tiger Woods would be the one person I'd like to get an autograph of.
Yeah, mine, and you may have been with me for this deal. This story is the stuff of legend, because
let me just interject. Tommy Lasorda?
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah,
yes.
Right? You were there, right?
I jumped in the car with you and Dandy Don.
And Josh
made the
was
trip.
there as well. Okay.
Right?
But you had no idea where we were going, right?
You just said, hey, do you want to go meet Tommy Lasorda?
Okay. See, I didn't know where.
That's correct. You told me. You're like, I don't know where it's at. My dad knows. We got in the car. I think Dandy Don's first thing was, hey, don't embarrass me. The second thing was, you're going to have to dress up.
Yeah. So
I was like, okay.
So this is classic. Don Freeman here. He comes to school, and I'm probably misremembering it. He will correct me on this, but I do remember that I don't think I told you, because I don't think I knew until, we had been driving like an hour and a half.
Right.
I was like, where are we going?
Yeah.
Because I didn't even know where we were going. Don't you remember?
Right.
Because Josh was in it, and he just came to school. He goes, hey, I got to take you somewhere. Get Josh. And I was like, okay. And then you showed up, and I was like, can Brees come? And he's like, yeah, bring Paul too. But we didn't know where we were going.
That's right.
And what we were doing. And so we're in the car for like 2 hours.
Yes.
Or more than that. And finally, we're way off the beaten path. I'm thinking, what is going on? And I don't know where we are headed. I don't even recognize any. I know we headed west from Nashville, and way west. Like, I'm thinking we're almost in like Jackson, Tennessee at this point.
Correct.
And I was like, Dad, what's the deal? He's like, well, and again, maybe I'm misremembering this, but I think he waited till like the very end, till we had almost exhausted our patience, in terms of like, he was just letting us sweat this whole thing out. and he pulled out the flyer
Yep.
for the banquet, and he goes, we're going to this. And it was Chuck. Here's the guy's name. He was a first-year baseball coach at Freed-Hardeman. His name was Chuck Box.
Yeah.
And he had written Tommy Lasorda letter after letter after letter saying how he was trying to start a baseball program and he would love it if he could come speak and, could do a fundraiser for him and blah, blah, and just written him letter after letter. And Tommy Lasorda wrote him back and said, let's do it. Here's when I can come, blah, blah, blah. And it, we don't have, it's like you had Twitter and you're like, oh, Lasorda is at Freed-Hardeman University from 6 to 8, signing autographs and doing a dinner or whatever. So we go there and it's like Freed-Hardeman University, which is like smaller than Lipscomb at the time, which I'm sure it still is. And it's just this podunk school out in the middle of nowhere. And you walk into like the ballroom, which is not, you would think a ballroom would have like, high ceilings and all this stuff. No, it's just like it's like a church. It looked like the dining hall at Concord Road Church of Christ.
Right.
Is what it looked like. And they had a buffet set up and he had all these round tables that looked like the youth group put together. And there's at the head table is Tommy Lasorda, for crying out loud. And, like 3 years removed from winning the World Series, And so we got our things autographed. We got the thing for the bank with the flyer. We got the flyer autographed. Got to meet him, shook his hand, got to talk to him, and the guy was just awesome.
Yeah.
Of course, my dad loved it because he knew he pulled one over on us because he kept us in the dark.
Yeah. Almost
till dark.
Andy Don was very good at the mind games.
Yeah. He was very, very good at that stuff. But that's probably my favorite autograph. And again, a great story that goes with the autograph. But if I had to say whose autograph would I want that I don't have, probably I would like to have either Rex Chapman or Sam Bowie's autograph because I don't have theirs. And I would very much like to meet. Dad and I went to Rupp, and he got to meet Kyle Macy, and I got a picture of Dad with Kyle Macy, which was pretty cool. But Rex Chapman was only like 2 rows in front of us. But I didn't say anything to him. I didn't, I thought that'd be weird, but I'd love to meet him. And of course I'd love to meet Sam Bowie because Sam Bowie was big when I was, 11, 12, 13 years old.
Right.
So he would probably be the guy. Those 2 guys would probably be ones I'd want. I'd want to meet and get their autograph just for the heck of it, but more just meet them and just talk to them. I think that would be cool.
Well, hey, Tommy Lasorda, 92 years young, man.
Yeah, man, he still goes to all the games. He's still there.
Yeah.
81 nights a year.
That's crazy.
Chavez Ravine. Bleeds blue, man. Totally bleeds blue.
Well, maybe tomorrow night, Adam, we can talk about stadiums we would like to visit.
Yes, I like that because I got a couple right off the top of my head. But for right now, that's going to be it for this episode of Drive Through Sports with Adam and Paul. For Paul Brees, this is Adam Freeman, and we will catch you on the flip side.